Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and there's been a lot going on in the Jeffrey Epstein saga behind the scenes, not only with documents, Ghislaine Maxwell, but now Harvey Weinstein. And I would be remiss if I didn't kick this off by saying that now representatives of Harvey Weinstein have said that he has never tested positive for the coronavirus while in Rikers, I believe. That's where he's being held, isn't it? Pretty sure. Or in jail. I could be wrong about the Rikers part. Anyway, what I want to do here is I want to go over some of the setbacks, some of the positives that have been going on, and then talk about these recent revelations that aren't really huge revelations at all for those that have been paying attention, especially not only watching this channel, but even back when I was with We Are Change, reporting on this, the little black book, Harvey Weinstein, the Slither Circle. Okay, and you'll find out why I call it the Slither Circle in a bit. But essentially, what you had was a pipeline directly to Harvey Weinstein, which shouldn't be a surprise. You know, you look at the Epstein, Weinstein, Clinton connection. You know, Weinstein, longtime friend of Bill Clinton, was also his personal projectionist throughout his presidency. And they went on vacation together. We've played those clips. Epstein obviously had a very intense relationship with Bill Clinton, as he had a large mural of Clinton in a dress pointing and laughing. And then was riding on that plane, Clinton, his private plane, which is only one plane logged, some of the logs of one plane. When we know there was another plane, there were helicopters, etc. 26 plus times. And yeah, I get it, like the Africa trip was 6 times. Okay, we can spin everything we'd like. So let's get into number one, Ghislaine Maxwell and the 10,000 pages. This is between suits of Virginia Giuffre Roberts and Maxwell. We had that 2,000 plus page data dump. By the way, thumbs this video up. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. But there were 10,000 other pages. And basically, the lawyers argued that those 10,000 pages each had to be reviewed because they may or may not be what is called judicial documents, or have a relevancy or a right for the public to see them. Hence, if they had just been filed, that didn't necessarily make them judicial documents. So, unfortunately, that has been ruled in their favor. But if you've been following this, you knew that was going to happen. All right? Because, you know, Epstein himself died, or Epstein didn't kill himself, I think within about 24 hours of that first 2,000 page dump, which did name several new people like George Mitchell, like Glenn Dubin, like Richardson, former governor of New Mexico, Nye Northrup. Good morning. Good morning to you, sir. So I want to say what up to Big Fish, give him a big shout out because he's been keeping me up to date on this story and he's done great research at it. I suggest you follow him at Trey Billion because he's really all over it. Okay. Ghislaine Maxwell also suing Jeffrey Epstein's estate because she says she was ensured that no matter what, he would financially take care of her. All right, that's pretty interesting. Again, going past, you know, trending for a little while, but not really being talked about. And then you have this, okay? As this goes over, apparently, as these documents are being ruled on, that won't be held up by this whole coronavirus situation. Thank you, Mr. Brokens, for that super chat, which is good news. But now let's jump to the big news, okay? And Kate Burke, I'm probably butchering that, has done a lot of great work at the Daily Beast on this. You know this if you've been following my work. Again, it's never about left or right to me. It's about right and wrong. And in this, first of all, she goes over 2 different victims. First, you have Miss Davies here, Shantae Davies. And Davies was introduced into the pipeline by Epstein and then given like a role in a B movie called Feast that was not a coincidence, according to her lawyer, Bradley Edwards, who we're going to get to in a moment and why Bradley Edwards is so important in this. And essentially, that wasn't the only one. They bring up Annie Farmer in this as well. Now, Annie Farmer allegedly was molested by Epstein, and her sister, Maria Farmer, who was of age at the time, and her older sister was sexually assaulted by Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein at Les Wexner's home. Now, the really interesting thing about Annie Farmer is the fact that, first of all, in the case of this, she went to the FBI and the NYPD all the way back in 1996. That shows you that the FBI, law enforcement, they were well aware of this guy 20 plus years ago. What took so long? Was it those intelligence connections that nobody's supposed to talk about? Right? Now, she was also given work, Annie Farmer, or promised work, via this network, this Slither circle that I talk about, okay? That goes well beyond just Weinstein and Epstein and Clinton, and now we're talking about Les Wexner. And the funny thing is, Maria Farmer says that Les Wexner is the head of the snake. If you watch my previous stuff, Les Wexner wasn't just a fashion mogul, all right? When you're trafficking in things like, I don't know, arms, propaganda, intelligence, women, drugs, Prince Andrew, the UK's largest arms dealer, well, there's some shenanigans afoot, and they interconnect, all right? So, again, Edwards is key because Edwards has apparently written a new book, and apparently the fallout between these two was over one of Epstein's girls that was assaulted by Harvey, all right? So who is Bradley Edwards? Well, Bradley Edwards is, guys, he's the lawyer that eventually beat Epstein in court before he was even arrested. Bradley Edwards represented a lot of these girls in the Palm Beach case, and Epstein sued him and tried to get him disbarred. In order to refute that, Bradley Edwards then had to countersue, and on his side, the pudgier gentleman there is Jack Scarola, and Jack Scarola is his lawyer in this case that took almost 9 more years to get going, almost 10 years for this whole thing. When it goes to court, on the day they're going to pick jury selection, Epstein gives up a written thing where he basically says Bradley Edwards did his job, he never broke the law, he was doing the right thing, etc., and then gave him an undisclosed amount of money. Now, they're giving a press conference in front of, literally, if you can see that, the boxes that are stacked up that high. Can everybody see that? Right behind the shoulders here. I have it so you can't see my thing, but anyway, right behind the shoulders. And those are documents, and there's a long line of those documents. So the amount of information they have on Epstein, Weinstein, and others is just massive. But the court system, of course, has clogged them up. Now, when he was asked, and this is way before the arrest, okay, go check it out, about Weinstein and the connection to Epstein, this is what he had to say.
There are some similarities, different age group targeted victims, but there are some similarities. And the most striking is the degree of power. You saw it first with Cosby, and people thought nobody's going to believe me. This guy he's the pudding pot man. And then you have Harvey Weinstein, who's basically running Hollywood. And that's somebody who Jeffrey Epstein knows. Those are people that know one another, and they run in the same circles. And once the victims started coming forward one after another, how many times, even after 5, 6, 7 victims of Harvey Weinstein had come forward, were there still doubters? It wasn't until there were so many that Harvey Weinstein himself just couldn't take on the barrage of complaints that everybody said, you know what, that's right. So the victims here see the same thing. You know, as the numbers increase and as the skepticism decreases, and as we have a day like today where Jeffrey Epstein has admitted to wrongdoing, it's only going to increase the confidence of these young women who are now further along in their healing process than they were 10 years ago when we met them.
And once again, remember, this is pre his arrest. And he's finally beating in Jeffrey Epstein in court, and it still wasn't the mega national news that it should have been. And at that point, he's calling out Weinstein, right? And remember, when you talk about these murky intelligence backgrounds with people like Epstein and then Weinstein, what? Utilizing Black Cube to intimidate his victims. And he says different targeted age groups. We know that Epstein now targeted girls as young as perhaps 13, 12, 11, or at least looked that way, right? With Weinstein, we have the one model who says she was 16 years old at the time. And remember, actress Kate Beckinsale says that he came on to her when she was 17.
So the chances of this moving in the right direction and having a situation like we had in a courtroom where you saw Larry Nassar and had to face one Olympic gymnast after another, after another, after another, that day should come, and that day will come.
I disagree with Brad with regard to one significant point. These high-profile abusers are not running in the same circles. They are slithering in the same circles. They are crawling in the same circles. And there is no more running because there is no more place to hide.
I love it. I love it. And that's why we got to keep the pressure on. Despite the fact, obviously, there's so much else going on in the world, and I'm covering that too. But I thought it was important to give this Epstein update. If you're new to the channel, thumbs this up, subscribe, join the Burmese Brigade. We normally do it 3 to 7 times a day here. We're trying to bring that back. In fact, if you want to see a lot more of my Epstein coverage, it's in the Them Too, right here, the Them Too playlist. 157 videos, and honestly, there's probably over 200 videos that could be in there. You can see all my documentary films here as well. Make sure to follow me on Twitter for everything that I can't do videos on everything, guys. I've tried, but right now with the coronavirus stuff and keeping up on all the press conferences, the news, the slow rollout, things changing, I've just been all over that. So if you can financially support me, we're into a new month. I'll put this in the live chat, $5, $10, $15. It means the world to me. I love you guys. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you later today on the flip side.